So joining us for this one on whether Lionel Messi could be heading back to Barcelona this summer and whether he should, we have the Athletics Barcelona writer Paul Ballus as well as our PSG writer Peter Rutzler. So your piece, Paul, that you've written for the Athletic on Wednesday starts with the quote, "We're crazy for Lionel Messi to return and we're doing everything we can to bring him back." So it's a genuine possibility, yes?
Somehow it is. I'd say that, that quote belongs to people who's close, like to the coaching staff, to the people who's close, probably closer to the football pitch rather than to the higher offices at the club. And we could tell that, like, from a sportive point of view, there are a lot of people who really want Lionel Messi back. Then there's, of course, like a bigger picture, a bigger background, which includes the financial difficulties that Barcelona has and all the hurdles that they will have to overcome to make this happen. But as I was saying, from a sporting point of view, they, like the coaching staff at Barcelona, believe that the main point that they need to improve for the next season is the quality on their final third. And they strongly believe that Lionel Messi in that department is still the number one player in the world. So they really want him back.
This is a Xavi-driven project, is it?
Kind of. There are also sources from the dressing room who say that they would be happy to have Messi back. The coaching staff with Xavi leading, they will be happy with Messi back. Economically, it's not that easy. And I think that we could see, like 2 summers ago, that it's not enough with the will from both sides to make it happen. Because like 2 summers ago, we had Messi wanting to stay, and we had Joan Laporta saying that he wanted Messi to stay, but it didn't happen. So that's Barcelona. That's just, no matter what you want, no matter what you think is going to happen, you never know, because there are politics. There is people inside the club who were in the negotiations that didn't end well 2 summers ago, and that also can become a problem. So we'll see what happens. But what we could learn is that there is people inside the club who has started making things moving.
Peter, when a Paris Saint-Germain fan hears that Barcelona would want him back for sporting reasons, would they raise an eyebrow?
Maybe. I think that has been part of the perception of Messi at PSG, is that they haven't got the Messi at Barcelona, the Messi potentially for Argentina. Now, on the one hand, there is an element of that. You know, his first season was in a season of adaptation. He scored 6 goals in the league. This season has been different. He's scored 14 goals, 14 assists, more goal involvements than Kylian Mbappe in Liga. So there's 2 sides to it, and I think that the current perception of him is that he's not fully invested. And when you get the constant background noise of, is he going back to Barcelona? Could he go back to Barcelona? Does he want to be in Barcelona? It's very difficult for him necessarily to have that affinity with the supporters. And I think that's been a constant throughout his 2 years at the club. And we've seen in the 2 recent home games that he's not exactly had a warm reception from PSG fans. By no means it's not unanimous at all. You know, it's there are some fans who have been whistling him when his name's been read out. It's certainly not all of them. But even so, there is clearly a degree to which he is not loved or appreciated in the same way. And there is the aspect of Barcelona. There's potentially the backdrop of Messi's Argentina beating France in the World Cup as well. And there's a lot of different elements to it. And I think for PSG fans, they see the wage that he's on. He's a high salary. PSG have their own issues with FFP, and you know they settled a breach with UEFA late last year for failing to comply with the break-even agreement. So they've had to watch their salary, and those close to the club would say that Messi pays for himself in everything else that comes with signing a player like him. But if you're not getting an incredible return, then the PSG point of view for a supporter might be, well, what's the value? Particularly when the squad at the moment seems so small, depleted, lacking depth, struggling with injuries, unbalanced, which isn't necessarily a new thing, but for sure it contributes to this sense that there isn't that same connection, there isn't that same affinity.
Yeah, and do you think that is the reason for him being booed in recent home matches? Because as you say, do you know what? If you don't watch Paris Saint-Germain on a weekly basis, I think you would be surprised at the numbers you said at the start, because people will hear, oh, he's going to be leaving, oh, he's being booed, and think, oh, he's had an awful season. And actually, his numbers suggest he had a better season than his first season. But he's booed basically because he's seen as a mercenary by some in an era where Paris Saint-Germain fans have just had enough of mercenaries at their clubs.
Yeah, I think that's always the fear, isn't it? That he's just there because he can be there to earn the same money. And you're right. I mean, I think there's an element of him making a rod for his own back in terms of the high standards he has set throughout his career and what the expectations are. But the performances themselves, the one that stands out for me was the home defeat to Lyon. So they've had back-to-back home defeats. First time for a couple of years that's happened. And this is, of course, in the context of a post-Champions League failure, which is, so important to the PSG project. The Champions League is everything. But then there's this idea that post World Cup, post achieving everything there, that he's not necessarily hit the same heights before the tournament than he is now. And then you get a performance like the Lyon game, where watching him, he was doing things that Messi doesn't normally do, or the things that we don't associate with Messi, an odd misplaced touch, an odd misplaced pass. And you think, gosh, what's happening here? This isn't right. But then at the same time, he created more chances during that game than everyone else on the pitch put together. So there is certainly an element of expectation to reality. But what I would say is that certainly the performances post-World Cup have been lower and not as effective, I think, as they were before the World Cup. But that's also something that applies to PSG across the board. And when you factor in that Messi hasn't been able to lift PSG beyond the round of 16 in the Champions League this season, it all culminates together and makes him the reason for why this has not been as successful as PSG fans would hope for.
And yet, the other side of things is he's being cheered at Barcelona games in their last two home games, Paul.
Yeah, and that's something that Barcelona is kind of playing with. They are playing with narrative, with the storytelling. They know that Messi is not a player that, he does not look like a player who wants to stay in a place where he's not like entirely wanted. So Barcelona is kind of using that. We've seen quotes from Joan Laporta, and especially 2 Fridays ago from Rafa Juste, one of the VPs from the club, who is basically Laporta's closest confidant, lending their hand to Lionel Messi. Now they are doing this kind of game, like from different stances, letting them know that Barcelona wants Messi, at the same time admitting that it's going to be down to Tebas at the end of the day, and down to La Liga, and down to the approval that they can give to the plan that they have to make it viable somehow. But yeah, Barcelona, I think that among the fans, there's a feeling that, and Laporta has made it quite clear that he has like a personal debt. He owes something to Messi for the way that he left. And I think that most of the fans feel that they weren't allowed to say him goodbye properly, because the Camp Nou couldn't be like full. Messi had to live in tears, and that was painful to see. At the same time, there are also fans who believe that probably it's not the best solution for him, neither for the club. It's not the best timing for none of them. But this feeling of we owe something to Messi, it's inside the club, inside the board, and inside a lot of fans.
They owe something to him. What, just because they allowed him to leave?
Well, and for the way that he left, because from one day to the other, he looked like he was going to sign a new contract. He wanted to stay. He was planning for the next season in Barcelona. And then suddenly, out of the blue, Barcelona told him, look, you cannot sign this contract. And he was in shock. And I think that we could see in that famous press conference. And that hurt to all the Barcelona fans. I've been speaking as well to a lot of fans who told me, well, I cried about him once. I don't want to do it twice. So why should he come back? Because we have already gone through that kind of pain inside us. So yeah, let's see. But I think it's something that is inside Barcelona fans right now.
So on the financials then, is this there are various aspects to this, and I'll come on to Telles and La Liga in a minute. But just from the club's point of view, is this them? Do they need another lever to sell him, or by signing him, does he actually become a lever because of all the commercial stuff that comes with him?
I would go closer to the second point. They don't need another lever basically because they cannot pull another lever. La Liga changed its rules at the end of last year, basically to don't allow Barcelona to make levers as they did last summer. So, like, legally, they cannot do another lever like they did last summer. But inside the club, there's also, like, the mindset regarding to Messi is like, we are moving away from the Camp Nou next season. This is going to have a negative impact in our balance, in our budget of around 90, 100 million. What's going to be more appealing for the world of football than having Messi back? So which is going to be the fans are going to be willing to pay the most. And I'm not saying just like Barcelona fans, but fans around the world that are going to be able or willing to pay money to go to Barcelona for. And that's Messi. And that's Messi doing his last dance in Barcelona. Even if it's not in the Camp Nou, if it's in Montjuic, in the Olympic Stadium, it's still going to be like a powerful thing. Then on the financial thing, I was telling you like some minutes before that there are people in the club who are optimistic and are kind of working and trying to do things to make it happen. When you go to more economic related sources, those are the ones that are cautious. And they tell you, look, that's not close yet. That's not something that can be deemed like as viable right now. We have to be cautious here. Because basically Barcelona has other problems in the pecking order who are ahead of Messi right now, which are Gavi, which are, well, basically like the registration of Gavi's new contract. Ronald Araujo signed a contract extension who hasn't been registered yet. He already is a first-team player, but the new contract hasn't been registered. Alejandro Balde, we are being told that he has agreed to a contract extension, but he hasn't signed it because he would end up in the same problem. So Barcelona prefers to wait. So Barcelona has all this on the queue, and they have to resolve this. So
they've got three or four players that they've offered new contracts to, but they can't sign them because of the financial regulations. Well, and if they sign Messi, he could come. I mean, his contract could be worth the same amount as the four who can't sign in one go.
Don't think so.
No?
Don't think that the plan that Barcelona has right now is to give him a similar contract that the one he had before leaving. I think that his contract should be like in Lewandowski levels.
Right.
For what I hear, I mean, and that's not a formal offer, so we cannot report that. But the whisper around the club is that the level of the offer that Barcelona could place to Lionel Messi is like Lewandowski levels. A bit higher maybe, but Lewandowski levels.
So this then, as you mentioned in an earlier answer, then goes to Telles and La Liga, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And here is, I'm guessing, the dilemma at La Liga level.
Yeah.
They need eyes on La Liga.
Yeah.
Commercially. As we've talked about on this pod many times, the eyes have dropped off La Liga a bit. So you bring Messi in, your audiences, I'm guessing, would shoot up. But do you have to bend the rules to allow them to bring Messi in? And then how do clubs react?
Exactly. And that's another thing. in my opinion, Barcelona is kind of playing with. Barcelona is kind of playing with a lot of narrative, with the narrative of Messi being booed in Paris and being cheered at the Camp Nou, and the narrative of La Liga having the possibility to bring back its biggest jewel ever. I think that, La Liga has a dilemma now. Barcelona is set to present like a viability plan for the next 2 seasons, just to show La Liga of the plan that they have in mind, just to balance their budget in terms of their spending in salaries, how they are going to, just improve things. And Tebas has to let them know if he approves it. If he approves it, all the registrations that I was mentioning, Gavi, Alejandro Valde, Araujo, are going to be more feasible. And therefore, Messi is going to be like, not the next step, but it's going to be like closer. Because at the end of the day, that's like a domino effect, and a lot of pieces has to fall down. And if this one like falls down, Messi is going to be closer. What do we hear from?
And I'm getting you might not be able to answer this because we'd be guessing really. Do Real Madrid want him to come back because of eyes on La Liga?
And that's a guess. I don't have information on that, but I think that Florentino Perez will be happy to. Carlo Ancelotti or like football player maybe won't be happy to. But from a product point of view, I think that, I mean, when I speak to people at La Liga, they say that they would be like amazed by Messi coming back. They would be really happy, but they have to stick to their rules because it's something that they are trying to defend. They are trying to make La Liga different because of that, and they have to, just to try to protect them. But no one hides that La Liga would love Messi back.